Sharpening Your Knife, Chapter 5. In this chapter, it talked about the three major struggles for focus. Why would we want to focus? Basically, anything in life that you want to be good at, you need to focus on. That's just a fact of life. Anything that is difficult to understand, which means it's probably pretty valuable information, requires focus. Anything that you want to master and that you want to truly seep into your mind and truly understand and wrap your mind around needs focus. So focus is very important. There's three reasons that people struggle with focus. The first one is starting, difficult to start. Second one is sustaining, difficult to sustain. And the third one is optimizing the quality of your focus. So we'll go through each one. The first one is starting. Sometimes it's just the hardest part. For example, most of the people who are probably watching this video are in sales. And all of us are trying to learn all these different things. There's so many aspects to sales. Maybe it's a script. Maybe it's how to present yourself on camera like I'm doing right now. Maybe it's actually doing like computer work. It could be so many different things. Maybe it's reading certain books. And the hardest part sometimes is simply starting. There's two reasons why people don't start. The first one, and this is procrastination by the way, the first one is you're craving to do something else. So, for example, me making this video. Already multiple times I've wanted to stop and eat popcorn. I wanted to eat popcorn instead of making this video because this video required me to listen to an entire audiobook or entire audio chapter and then write a whole summary and review on it. And I've already recorded three 18-minute videos. And each time I watch it and I think, I can improve that. Oh, and I can improve that. Oh, I can make that so much better. And so now by the third or fourth video, I'm like, okay, I'm hungry now. Like I'm tired of focusing, which is ironic because this is what this is about. So I wanted to eat popcorn. That is one reason for procrastination. The second reason is you have an aversion to the task. For example, there's been moments in this whole thing where I just didn't want to do it. Like I just didn't want to sit here and record myself. That's a reason. When you're going to the gym, it could be the same thing. Maybe you would rather sit and text your friends. That would be a craving to do something else. Or you might be thinking about how hard it is to go to the gym. You're going to have to use your muscles. You're going to have to go outside. It's going to be cold to the car because it's winter. Or, there's a list of things that you can come up with why you wouldn't want to do a certain task. So identifying one of the two, it's either one or the other, and sometimes it can be both. So identifying that is super important. The steps to overcome this procrastination are one, recognize when you're procrastinating, recognize what kind of procrastinating you're doing, the reason behind the procrastination. And most of these are going to include excuses that, when said aloud, are pretty dumb. So the second step is to verbalize the reasons for your procrastination. So, for example, with making this video, I thought to myself, oh yes, popcorn would really just make me so much better at what I'm doing right now. The real answer is probably no, because I'm going to want to eat more popcorn, and then I'm going to do the dishes, and then I'm going to have to brush my teeth, and then the list goes on of things I'm going to have to do. It's actually smarter to do this first. But in my mind, before I said it out loud, it just made more sense. So, verbalizing your mental reasoning for your procrastination is a big key. The third one is to recognize that the impulse won't last that long. I'm going to keep bringing up this popcorn thing. I wanted popcorn for approximately 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So then I went back to this. Actually, I never stopped. But most urges won't last longer than 3 minutes or 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Even hunger, like actual hunger in your stomach, when you feel like you're gonna die, usually goes away within like 5 to 10 minutes. So learning and recognizing that you can just wait it out most of the time is a key to focus. And the fourth one is once you've done all the first three of these steps, recognizing when you're procrastinating, verbalizing your reason for procrastinating, and recognizing that the impulse won't last that long, the fourth step is to set up a 5-minute rule for yourself. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes, maybe it's 1 minute, maybe it's half a minute. But the goal is to simply start. So, for example, all I have to do to make this video is just push go and then start talking 1 minute. That's going to lead to a train of thought. Now I'm thinking, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? And now, by the end of the video, it'll probably have been a full 10 minutes. Bam! Right there. So that's the key, is to just start small and work big. Like when you go to the gym, you just do 1 rep, and then you're like, well, I can't just do 1 rep. Now, I gotta do at least 3. You get to 3 and you're like, well, I could push myself to maybe 5. And you're like, well, I usually do 8, so let me just go a couple more. And then you're like, well, sometimes I go to 12. And then you go to 12. And then you do another set. And then you start to build yourself up. So that is the fourth key to starting. The second thing that people struggle with is sustaining. So once you're already starting, how do you keep yourself sustained? There's 4 distractions that will cut your focus short. The first one is environment. The second one is multitasking. The third one is the task itself. And the fourth one is your mind. The first one, your environment, could include the TV, your phone, your music. It might be too hot, it might be too cold. There might be a bunch of talking around you. It's distracting. So that's your environment. Setting up your environment so that you have a pen and paper to learn whatever you're about to learn, or you have a comfortable chair, or you have your hair out of your face so you can see. Distraction 2, multitasking. So, like some people, I knew a bunch of kids in school who would watch movies while doing school. That's not an efficient way to watch a movie nor to do school. If you're trying to write a paper, watching a movie in the background and going back and forth isn't the fastest way to do both. It's funner, it's more exciting, but it's not efficient, and you're not really watching the movie completely, and you're not really putting your whole heart into the essay, so neither of them are as quality as they could be. And the goal of ultra learning is to learn it as thoroughly as possible. Then the fourth distraction is going to be your mind. Did I already get the task? I missed distraction 3. The task itself. So basically the task means what medium it is. How do you learn? What's your strength in learning? For example, ultra learning is a book. It can be read, it can be listened to, and now you're watching this video, so it can be watched. So for me personally, I learned best through listening to it rather than reading it or watching a video on it. And I'm learning best through speaking it too. So figuring out which way you learn and focus in the most is key. I focus better when I'm listening to it rather than reading it. For you, you might focus better when you're watching it rather than listening to it. It just depends. So understanding where you focus the best is a key. Then distraction 4 is your mind, and that's the fun one. That one can go crazy. Emotions can pop up out of nowhere, random thoughts here and there. Oh, dude, I gotta do the dishes. Oh, I gotta get my car fixed. Oh, man, I should make sure that I have enough money in my bank account. Oh, shoot. I need to really, go make my bed. Random things. Oh, I forgot to go to the gym. Like, all these things pop up, right? Or feelings. Like, maybe you start overthinking something in your relationship and you just get stuck in your mind and you're looping and you're overthinking. Or maybe you start to feel restless because you haven't gone on a walk or ran or done anything and you're just like a stale tip and you're like, oh, I'm restless. Or something like that. All of these things can affect you all through your mind. So the key to do this is to recognize that it's affecting your mind. Basically just admit that it's there. Don't try to push it away. Just admit that it's there, recognize it. You can even write it down if you need to. And then just let it go and let it wait. Like it can come back later. You can overthink later. You can do your tasks later. This is your time to focus. So then after that, the third one is optimizing the quality of your focus. Okay, I'll give an example of this one that the book gave. They did an experiment once with two groups of people. The first group were sleep deprived, and the second group had enough sleep. So they had clear minds. Then they were given a task that they had to complete. And shocker, the fully rested people did pretty good, and the sleep deprived people didn't do so good. But the twist came when they played loud music. And now, for some reason, the sleep deprived people did pretty good, but the well rested people didn't do very good. Why am I putting them up here then? Well, there's a high, there's a medium, and there's a low. You don't want to have too much stimulation. You want to have just enough stimulation, and you don't want to be lacking in stimulation. When we talk about optimizing the quality of your focus, it refers to stimulation. Like, how much stimuli is going on? Are you like bouncing off the walls? Or are you like, oh, sleepy? So you have to basically pinpoint where you're at and then optimize yourself to give yourself more energy or less energy. You can't focus if you're way up here, and you can't focus if you're way down here either, especially when you're trying to really learn something deeply to the core. So that's why, like, running is such a powerful tool. Start out in the morning and you're like pretty tired, you're like, then you go for a run and you come back and you're like, oh, that was epic. I feel so much energy. I'm going to tackle the day. We're going to conquer. It's powerful because you're creating energy. Us as humans create energy. That's why a lot of people, they don't understand how that works. I've even fallen into this myself where I've forgotten. When you lack energy, a lot of the time you want to match that lack with something on the same playing field. For example, if I feel tired, the last thing I want to do is go for a run. The first thing I want to do is sit on the couch and watch something entertaining. But that won't boost my energy. If I'm tired and I need energy, what I actually need to do is go do something active that will like produce energy. Obviously, there's times and places for all these different things, but that's how we work as humans. We create our own energy through the mind, through the body, through the spirit, like all the ways. So, with that, those are the three. So, the three major struggles with focus will be starting, sustaining, and optimizing the quality of your focus. And then for the end, I'll just give some extra tips that I thought were pretty cool from the chapter that I read. The first one is you can just carve out specific times in your day, like an hour, to just focus on this one thing. Make sure you have everything next to you, everything that you need, your pen and paper or whatever you're going to need to like just set up the environment for yourself. Another thing is, I thought it was really interesting. He talked about creativity and focus. Creativity is an interesting concept because you need to focus to create creativity, but you can't focus too hard, otherwise you won't be creative. So he talked about that in order to create ideas, you need to basically zone in to what you're wanting, what you're needing. You're focusing on what kind of creativity you need, and then you have to let go a little bit. If the creative thoughts don't come, you might be too focused. And so you let go of the creativity and relax a little bit, and that's when stuff will start to like flood in, and you'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. So that was just a cool tip that he talked about in this chapter about creativity, which is cool because I love being creative. And then sometimes he talked about too that like long periods of focus aren't necessarily better than short periods of focus or periods with no breaks. He said that if you focus for too long, your mind will just get zapped. But if you focus for maybe let's say an hour, then you take a couple of minutes of a break, and then you do another hour, and then another break, and then another hour, it's a good way to learn. Anyway, that is the end. So hope that was helpful.